after the occupational health of all the workers, as we know that workers' efficiency will be high whenever their health is good. We can say that good brain lies in good health. So that is one reason occupational health is nowadays become compulsory to any organization. Later on, we will see in operational safety and health rules regulation that how the government has made all these things compulsory. Now, second aim is to prevent the work-related illness and injury. Rather than we can say to reduce as far as possible to minimum value the illness and injuries or accidents takes place in factory or organization. So zero prevention is almost not possible. But as far as possible, the steps must be taken or policies of the organization or industries should be like that minimum illness and injuries occurs in the organization. It encourages the safe working practices. So the people who are working in the industries, in what environment they are working, that environment, working environment must be safe and healthy. So policies will be prepared by the industries, keeping in the view that practices, working practice must be safe. Another thing is analysis of ergonomics and monitoring employees' health is also necessary. What is the meaning of ergonomics? Ergonomics is basically engineering science, we can say, that is in which we are studying about the interaction of the pupil with working environment, interaction of the pupil with machineries on which they are working in such a way so that the output is maximum, optimize output with the minimum resources by changing the working environment. So ergonomics is the terminology generally used in construction industries for the proper interaction between the workers, employees, and their working environment. Along with the ergonomics, monitoring of employees' health is also compulsory. And for that, as per the guidelines from the central government as well as state government, some inspectors and monitoring bodies are also deputed who are looking after this factor. So monitoring of employees' health is basically done by the company or organization itself. They have to routinely do this process. They have to manage the data, and after the analysis or assessment of those data, proper management of the sickness absence, how to keep up the gap due to the absence of sick people in the industry or company, that is to be assessed. Occupational health assessment. So in order to make the occupational health status in the industry in good condition, assessment is necessary. Occupational health assessment in the industry is necessary, and that is being done either by the healthcare professionals, or if the company organization is very big, there is itself company has got the medical facilities or doctors in the campus itself. If organization is not too big, in that case they may have a contract with the healthcare professionals or the doctors for doing occupational health assessment. Basically, occupational health assessment is done at 4 stages. Pre-employment health assessment, which is generally done before giving the appointment to the candidate or before giving offer to the service in organization or in industry, whether government sector, non-government sector, private sector, or what. Fitness of the work assessment is the second stage. That is basically assessment done during the service of the candidate or the worker. Third is job specific assessment. In job specific assessment, it's a peculiar type, specific type of the assessment which is generally done in industry and very important in case of the industries, as it is specific to the particular job. Later on, we will see that what are those specific job assessments. And last one is the mental health status. Nowadays, as we know that due to the stressful job, a lot of people undergo depression. So mental health status to work properly is also very important. So we will see all these four stages of assessment of occupational health one by one. First one is, I said, pre-employment health assessment. So in case of the pre-employment health assessment, generally before giving the appointment letter or before offering the job to the candidate, assessment has been done. That may be in terms of the questionnaires of related to the health, which may be asked along with the form where candidate is filling the form for applying the job. In that time also the questionnaires may be asked, or during the personal interview, the form submission of the health questionnaires can be asked, or otherwise discussion regarding the pre-existing medical condition and health questionnaires can be done during the personal interview. And in big industries or organization, sometimes in the interview board, they are keeping one person as a health officer in the as a one member of the board who can ask specific risk associated with the work, particularly some job specific assessment if it is required to be done. In that case, the candidate or worker who is going to be appointed in the industry must know that what type of the work he will do after that and which type of the risk is associated with that work. So that thing must be very much clear before giving the appointment, and that's why uh, such type of the arrangement generally being done one psychiatrist or health officer, or maybe both, may be sitting along with the interview board sometimes. And the physical ability test to measure the employee's ability to perform the job requirement. Physical ability test, we know that in some sectors, in government or private, physical ability test is must. We all know that in case of the SSB examination also, physical test is very important. You, until or unless you are getting clear the physical ability test, you cannot be given the further chance for the personal interview or whatever. So first screening is physical ability test. In case of the police services, in case of military services, or in all these cases, physical ability test is very much compulsory. Basically depends upon the type of the work which is to be done by the worker, and that's why that is very important. Last one, we can say submission of medical test certificate. Sometimes even in government sector, we know that before appointment or before you are joining even government service, you are required to submit the medical certificate. That may be from the government medical officer or any concerned authority, or sometimes government is appointing or having contract with some government owned hospitals. Here you have to go for your medical checkup and your report is submitted directly to the government. So the medical test certificate is also uh, made compulsory in some organization before joining the job. So this is what is about pre-employment health assessment, which is required to be done before giving the offer for the job in any sector. The next one is fitness for the work assessment, which is very important in case of the construction industry, as the worker or the employee which is employed by the employer for the particular type of the job, that is basically that person must be completely fit for doing that job. That must be checked periodically. No doubt pre-employment medical is over, everything is over. Now during the service, periodically there must be some medical checkup, or there must be some assessment whether worker or the employee is fit for that job or not. So individually is fit to perform the task allotted to him, that is to be checked, and that may be again Periodically, medical certificate can be asked from the worker or company or organization is by himself arranging the medical test. Risk to their own and other health and safety. Sometimes what is happen, if person is not healthy, he is not only having the own risk, but he is danger to the other public also, to the health and safety of other workers also. So that is to be assessed properly. Self-declaration of the fitness is sometimes asked, as like we see that in government sector also, we know that every year we are filling up our personal assessment report, means CRB, we can say. Every year we have to fill up that your performance is what? Yeah, that is to be assessed by your higher authority or head of your department. So that is what is in that also. Somewhere it is mentioned sometimes that whether physically you are fit or whether have you gone through the medical checkup or not. So that is what is called the self-declaration of the fitness, that may be asked sometimes. When and where need to make reasonable adjustment to the job, task or environment. So this is important because from this a manager or the company people are able to see whether as per the assessment of the workplace there is need of changing the duties, need of changing the job of the workers or employees or not. So fitness of the work assessment at the workplace basically needed when the health condition of the workers limits them from performing their job. His health condition of the worker is like that he is not able to effectively do their work allotted to him, or if he is continue to do that job, so the condition is worse. So in that condition, fitness for the work assessment is needed to be done. Another condition is certain work environments becomes unsafe for them. So the worker who is working at the workplace is feeling that environment is not safe for doing the job. So in that case also, uh, fitness for the work assessment is become compulsory. Poses a risk to the community. It's a very important point that health should be monitored or assessed for whether it is a risk for the community or for the other worker. As we know that at present we all are suffering from the problem of COVID-19, corona problem. So this is a risk. Corona, if anyone is suffering from the corona or is affected from the COVID-19, in that case, he becomes the risk not only to his family, to the community, to the office, other workers, and that's why, as per the government guidelines, we know that if anyone is suffering from that disease, he has to be quarantined for a minimum of 14 days because that is the incubation period of that virus. And due to this, so the risk to the community can be minimized. So that is the current situation which we are facing. Somebody is returning to the work after a period of absence. So this is another factor. If somebody is on long leave and returning back to the office. So in that case also fitness for the work certificate can be asked or his fitness can be assessed. Is the periodical medical checkup? As we know that every year either you can be declared, you require to declare your medical fitness, or some guidelines are there in which as per age medical test is compulsory, less than 30 years, almost 5 years after, 31 to 40 years once in 4 years, 41 to 50 years once in 2 years, and above 50 years age of the people, almost every year medical fitness need to be proved. That is not compulsory part, these are the guidelines for the organization. Other requirements for the fitness of the work assessment are first aid training shall be given to the employees. This is also now become as per the rules regulations set by the government that first aid training must be given to the worker, and there should be first aid facility in each and every organization. So as we know that even in our educational system, in academic system also, first aid facility is compulsory. Each and everywhere where there is more people are gathering, first aid facility must be there. So along with that, training must be given to the workers so that they can know that where that facility is available, how to use that facility, and in the emergency condition, what to do. Along with this, sometimes it is desirable to have a mock drill also. Sometimes in big industries and big company organization, they used to do the mock drills so that they can check that whether everything is okay or not if it is needed in emergency purpose. So monitoring of occupational hazards like noise, heat, chemicals or other thing, exposure shall be carried out at frequent intervals. Means sometimes the occupational hazards are there, maybe due to anything, but exposure time is very important. How much time you are exposed to particular hazard, that is important, and that should be monitored regularly in the organization so that necessary actions can be taken and all the records of which shall be documented. When you have done the first aid training, when you have done the mock drills, when in what form you are monitoring the occupational hazards, all things must be documented, should be maintained in office so that whenever there is visit of health inspector or any controlling authorities, those documents can be shown to them. Industry specified series of tests are musculoskeletal assessment, means any worker is suffering from muscular pain or any such problem, skin health check, respiratory and audiometry health checkup, blood pressure, diabetes, vision checkup, vibration health checkup, mental health, work stress assessment. All these are the industry specified series of the test along with the normal test which we do, that CBC test or blood test. That may be the normal test which everyone is generally doing. But other than that, industry specified test as per the job are whether there's any effect or health effect on the skin or respiratory system, audiometry system, or there is an effect on the vision or the effect due to the use of the machineries or mental status due to the work stress. These all things must be assessed. So now job specific state assessment. Initially, I told you that job specific assessments are very compulsory and very important in case of the construction industries because that job is specifically specified work. So working with power tools is one of the specific assessment. We know that in construction industries, a lot of tools are being used for different purposes, for making concrete, for placing concrete, for um, doing the construction work, electrically operated equipments, instrument, cranes, and a lot of other things are being used for the construction of the infrastructure facilities. So a lot of power tools, lot of power equipments are used in case of the construction industries. And so the employer must ensure that workers are not suffering from any disease which is caused by use of the power tools. Out of these diseases, two diseases are very important which I want to discuss. That is hand arm vibration syndromes, HAVS disease. That is basically the disease which a person suffer whenever he is utilizing, he is using more vibrational power tools. So like that worker is using mostly the drilling machine, using vibrating drilling machine, or working on the mixture, or working in the rotary kilns in case of the cement industry. So in such condition, working on the lathe also. So in such condition, hand arm vibration syndromes may be there. What is the meaning of this HAVS? The people who are working most of the time on the with the tools, which are creating vibration. So that may affect the arm, hand of the worker. Due to that, the worker may feel tingling effect, may feel uh, less sensation in the hand, may feel pain in arm and complete hand. So that is properly assessed. If it is assessed initial stage, there may be some reshuffling of the job, there may be exposure reduction in that. That can be arranged by the management. Otherwise, the condition will become worse. Another thing is carpal tunnel syndrome, CTS. That is also basically related with the workers who are generally doing a similar type of the work, or who are doing the work almost throughout the day, like welding work is there, or drilling work is there also, like work on the computer or typing continuously throughout the 8 hours working, they are doing the typing for 6 hours or 5 hours, more hours. Similar type of the work. Welder is doing always throughout the day welding, keeping in hand the welding machine, and in one hand that is protection. So in such case, carpal tunnel syndrome uh, problem may be there. So that is basically the effect in the nerves, which is connected from the brain into the hand. So the nerve is coming from the brain, from the neck towards the hand, in any hand. So that nerve is either squeezed or is compressed, and due to that problem, there is a shock-like feeling in the hand whenever worker is doing work. Or basic indication of that carpal tunnel syndrome is what? Whenever you are keeping in your hand something, it usually drops. So if frequency of dropping the objects or the things from your hand increased, it means the carpal tunnel syndrome disease may be at the beginning stage. So CTS should also be checked for the workers who are doing the work on the power tools. Working at height. Working at height means the workers who are working at very doing the work at very high elevation points, like construction at the top of ESI, construction in the metros, or the flyovers, or bridge construction. In such condition, they have to work at the very much high height as compared to the ground. So some requirements here, vision must be very good. There should not be any poor vision in that case. Vertigo problem should not be there. What is the meaning of vertigo? Some of you might not be knowing. In that case, vertigo is basically the syndrome in which whenever someone is working at height, he or she may feel that he is moving, or he may feel like that object which he is seeing is moving. So moving type of the syndrome is there, or there is ringing sound in the ears. So basically, that this disease is started from the ears. You are having ringing type of sound in ear. Even we can say that some people who are suffering in aeroplane, whenever you are doing the uh, you are going in through airplane, some people complain that they are having some problem in ears. So that type of the problem is basically vertigo, and arise whenever worker is most of the time doing work at high height, working in adverse condition like tunnel construction, mines construction, cajun construction, in which worker has to work under pressure. As we know that nowadays special machines are there which are doing the tunneling, or in mines also some special machines are used. In cajuns also complete automatic machines are there, but manual work is being done for taking out the material. be done under pressure. So that pressure, we know that compressed air is supplied in order to prevent the water is coming out in cajun. So the person has to work in adverse condition, means higher pressure, under higher pressure. And that pressure, particularly in case of the underground condition, uh, not more than I think 35 meters or whatever. If you are doing maximum depth in which you can work is around 35 meters as per the calculation from the pressure point of view. Around 340 kilonewton per meter square pressure is permissible. So these are the adverse condition in which worker has to work. So whenever worker is working under adverse condition like under pressure, he should be allowed for shift to work in shift, not continuously for 6 hours or 8 hours like. Another is lone working, and person is working only in single way. Like that, throughout the day, he is only sitting as in a cabin singly. There is no any person along with him. Only lone working is there. Sometimes this happens, particularly person is working on the computer, person is working on the display system, like that. I know that in case of Narmada Dam construction, there was automatic concreting plant. We visited that whenever the construction of Narmada Dam, Sardar Sarovar Dam was going on. So there was one tower in which concrete mixing was taking place. Automatical system was there. Germany-based technology was there. So in that tower, there was a big screen and machine having the display system. One person was sitting there and another one person can go only. Like that space was there. So one by one people are going to see that. So that is at height around 10 more than 10 meter height. So at such condition, people are sitting for throughout the day. This creates the lone working system. So the proper steps must be taken, that there must be some gap, like lunch break, tea break. For that he should come and mix with other people. Otherwise, he may suffer the depression or like such things. Display screen equipment is risk is accompanied with the use of DSC, display screen equipment. People are job is like that throughout the day. Worker has to see the display only. Screen, monitoring of the CCTV camera, monitoring of the suppose in Ahmedabad, there is BRTS control chamber. There is controlling all the BRTS bus services controlling is there. So lot of screens, big screens are there. People are sitting with the computer, seeing throughout the day those screens for controlling the BRTS. So in such case, if you are sitting continuously watching the screen, there may be musculoskeletal disorders, MSDS, or repetitive strain injuries may be there. You may suffer the problems like cervical problems like that. If you are not having proper posture or your display screen is not properly positioned. So to minimize that effect, display screen should be properly positioned and your posture should be very much good. Yes.
शिंदे सर, टेम्पररी कमी जास्त होत आहे, ते जरा वाटलं असेल त्यांना की जरा टिंगलिंग आहे म्हणून.
Some disturbance was there. I think now my voice is clear. Mic was unmuted. Now, mental health assessment is done on the basis of pre-existing mental health condition, or it is to be assessed on the basis of the pressure of tightness, deadline. Sometimes we know that in organization or in private sector particularly, there is deadlines are set by the management to do that work. So workers or employees are under the immense pressure to complete that work in the timeline. Or punctuality and regularity is being continuously monitored. In that case also, people suffer, or workers, employees suffer some stress, and that is being continuously assessed, so that there is no any adverse effect on the mental health of the workers. As far as cement construction industries are concerned, basically health assessment requires at source of raw material, its collection and transportation, Means in the mines, place of manufacturing material, product, equipment, where the production is being done, whether it is steel industry, cement industry, and then product is to be transported, equipments are to be transported at the site of the construction work. So at these four stages, proper assessment is needed regarding the self health and safety. Cement industry is second largest cement producer we are in the world. It's the biggest industry uh, in India. 98% cement production capacity of the total targeted in more than 500 metric ton in 2020 lies with the private sectors, and still the demand of the cement is improving, is more because focused infrastructure development policies by the government with the concept of smart cities to boost up the economical growth, that we know that right from the uh, starting of the Pradhan Mantri Sadak Yojana, and lot of infrastructure activities done by the central government for housing sectors, and concept of the smart cities to boost up the economy, the demand of the cement is really raised, but the demand is retarded because of this temporary phase of the COVID-19 corona problem from last 6 months. Everything is almost in shutdown conditions, so that is being affected, no doubt. But these concepts are still in pipeline, still work is going on, so that is created the more demand of the cement. Basically, in the cement industry, health issues are governed because of the airborne dust, noise and vibrations, dangerous atmosphere, radiation and environmental hazards, handling of alternative fuels. We see one by one that airborne dust, we know that whether for cement there is raw material from the mines, calcareous argillous material is collected from the mines. There is also a problem of airborne dust. Similarly, when production is being done, at that place also grinding of these material is being done. So due to that also airborne dust is created in cement industry. So all these airborne dust is causing respiratory diseases like asthma, bronchitis. It may irritate the eyes, nose, throat, and skin. So all these things are health problems are there in case of the cement industry because of the airborne dust. There may be a problem of lung diseases, which is generally called in case of the mines called as CMDLD, coal mine dust lung disease, which cause silicosis, pneumoconiosis, which is called as the black lung, and asbestosis. We know that silicosis is the again the airborne dust disease, which is generally due to the continuously inhaling of silica material particles arising from the mining of the minerals. Pneumoclosis also deposition of the carbon particles in the lungs because workers are continuously exposed to the airborne dust whenever they are doing work in the mines. And asbestosis is whenever asbestos fibers are there in case of mining. No doubt, the silicosis has shown lot of lung cancer problem, but still in case of the cement industry, as per the study till now, there is no any evidence found that cancer is there due to cement dust. But as I told you that silicosis is basically due to the quartz material, silica material. So that is in cement industry, its evidence is still not found, but in case of mines, lot of such problems are there. And as per the one study of NIOH Ahmedabad, and workers who are working in coal mines, more than 50% workers are affected from the silicosis. That detailed study has been done, and you can find out on the website of NIOH Ahmedabad for details of silicosis. Noise and vibrations, basically in milling plants, grinding of cement is being done. In other sources like blowers, fan, filters, compressed air generators, their noise and vibrations are created. And we know that noise and vibrations created are affecting basically the mental system as well as on the ear. So noise deflectors and improved sound insulation material may be used, acoustic material may be used to reduce the noise level. And nowadays, PPE, personal protection equipment, we all know that PPE kit is now very famous in case of the COVID-19. But this PPE, personal protection equipment, also required in case of the noise control. Whenever in industry or in cement industry, a huge sound is created, particularly more than 80 dBA. In that case, PPE is necessary. Dangerous atmosphere. Dangerous atmosphere means the such condition which are very much hazardous for the workers. Particularly coal and petroleum mill area is there. In case of there, fine airborne particles are there. Those fine airborne particles may cause explosion because they are volatile in nature. So they may cause explosion also. Kiln and raw milk cyclones and ducting, creating the unventilated process gases means due to the continuous exertion of carbon dioxide, CO2 and carbon monoxide, there may be shortfall of oxygen during maintenance work. So that is to be a dangerous area. Workers, whenever doing the work, they should keep in the mind. We know that lot of cases are there in which workers, particularly in sewer lines, they are doing the maintenance of sewer lines. They are going inside the manholes and they found dead. Lot of such examples are there. We all know in Delhi and other places also, every year such incidents occurs that worker or sweeper went inside the manhole for removing the clogging of the sewer line and he found dead. That is basically due to the unventilated gases. The gases inside that, particularly methane, H2S, carbon monoxide, these gases may be there which are poisonous, hazardous, and which may retard the oxygen carrying capacity of the people. And that's why sweeper may die even if they are not wearing the PPE. So no person unless otherwise cleared by the radiological protection officer, if radioactive sources are used in industry, in that case, radiological protection officer must be there, and under the supervision of that only, such things should be maintained. Prevention of short circuiting means in case of the power, as we know that there are a lot of such cases are there that in industries or any factory suffer the fire hazard or eruption of the fire is there due to the short circuiting. So that should be taken kept in the mind. Environmental health, proper water supply and sanitation system must be there in the industry. We know that to remain the healthy, good quality water is necessary. By the same times, proper drainage system should be there. So for proper sanitation, these two things are required. Workers should be accessible for water supply, which is safe for drinking as per Indian standard. At least drinking water available for them should be safe. And we know that it's compulsory now, and each and every factory or industry is having such type of RO system, maybe there or any other system should be there. But as far as public supply is concerned, at least such quality must be supplied to the normal public, which prevent them from any waterborne disease. Trace amount of the toxic elements such as mercury, thallium, iodine, monitoring of stack emissions to prevent the health hazards, these must be necessary as far as environment is concerned. And the trace emissions of POP, persistent organic pollutants. We know that PCBs, DDT and other these things are persistent organic pollutant. They are very much in trace amount. But basic problem is what? These persistent organic pollutant have a capacity of biomagnification and accumulation. We know that DDT is completely banned because of this carcinogenic effect. Because whenever DDT is sprinkled, the droplets of that goes inside the body, human body, and that accumulates inside the body. We have seen a lot of such example in the world also, that people are suffering from these POP pollutants even after eating the fishes, because the POP are found in oceans or in water body, and fishes are consuming using that water, and fishes are consumed by the human beings. So from fishes that got transferred into the human beings. So they are very much persistent, means they live for a long time, they accumulate and magnifies. That is the problem of POPs. So I will not go into detail of the persistent organic pollutant, but uh, handling of alternative fuels. Secondary fuels are sometimes used in cement industry. Secondary fuels or alternative fuels in place of normal conventional fuels, just to reduce the cost. Like recycled plastics may be used, some oils may be used, which are containing PCB. So these things, some recycled solvents may also be used for generating the power or energy. No doubt they are very less costly, but they may affect the uh, overall health aspect of the workers who are working there because of the release of pollutants. Production related health risk. So product related health risk is basically after, suppose cement industry is there. So after manufacturing of the cement, it is to be packed in bags and it is to be supplied to the required places, to be sent to the required places. That is, product is to be sent to the required places. In that case, special attention is to be paid, that people who are handling that should wear personal protection, should prevent themselves from skin protection, eye protection, or respiratory diseases. And for that, as per the guidelines from the health ministry, as well as Ministry of Labor and Employment, material safety data sheets, which is called as MSDS, must be maintained in each and every um, industry. So they are maintaining material safety data sheets in which out how they are making the safety for the workers who are doing the loading, uploading work for the product and raw material. Some other health issues, normal blood pressure, nutrition, stress, mental, all these things are there. I will not go for that. Now, national policy on safety, health, and environment at workplace, that is NPSHEW. So that is the policy declared by Ministry of Labor and Employment in 2009, and they have given the guidelines for all the industries to follow. Some objectives and some policies are there, we'll discuss later on, but this policy came after the Health and Safety Policies Act announced by the Victoria British in 2004. They have initiated that work, and after that, in India also, the government made this NPSHEW body and make the policy for that. That policy is itself available on the website of Ministry of Labor and Employment. You can see complete document of NPSHEW. So basic salient features of that policy are: it recognizes safe and healthy working environment as a fundamental human right. So as per this policy, fundamental right, human right is there to work in safe and healthy working environment. And it enhances the well-being of the employees and the society to eliminate the injuries and diseases caused by the workplace. And the main objective, to achieve the objective, in 2012 to 2017, 12th five-year plan, there was a report submitted by the chairman of that body, Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Employment, Government of India. So they have submitted one report for that, for 12th five-year plan. In that, some objectives are mentioned, and they made it compulsory. One document I am showing here, that is Health and Safety Policy document, and that is the document which is made by, as per this recommendation of the committee, Each and every industry should have such declaration regarding the health safety policy of his company or his industry, which is, should be put on the website. This should be submitted to the controller so that workers are aware that they can stop. One more important line mentioned here, if you see, last line, no doubt it's the duty of the employer to maintain the health and safety of the worker. But in the last line, as per this declaration, workers are empowered to stop any unsafe work. This is very important line, and this is to be mentioned that worker, if they feel that work environment is unsafe, they can stop working. So that is, such health and safety policies of the company must be documented and should be presented. By the same time, as per the policies, each and every industry should show the data in such a manner which I am showing as per the report, that how many injuries related to the health, how many accidental things are taken place during the year in his factories for different aspect. Suppose this in this circle I am showing the slips, trips, falls are 29% contributing for the injuries in cement industry. Hauling or moving object, second last is 19% contribution. Then lifting overexert system is 18%. Like that, different contribution of the different activities for the injuries or health problems. Such type of the things must be maintained by factory or industry, and that should be assessed by the health inspector who is going to visit the industry. So such things are required. Main objectives of OSH laws, occupational safety and health laws. So providing system of incentives to the employer. Government is making these laws and regulation just to giving some incentive to the employer or employees so that they achieve higher health of safety standards, reducing the incident of cost of related injuries, fatalities and disease, increasing community awareness. This is a very important point in case of the objective of the OSH laws, that there must be community awareness regarding the areas related to OSH. If any company is there, nearby society and area, they have to communicate properly about the health effect of that emissions coming out from that industry. Major OSH laws are generally, lot of laws are framed by the government right from the starting, but Factories Law Act 1948, Mines Act 1952, Docks Workers Safety and Health Welfare Act 1986, Building and Other Construction Workers Regulation Employment Act 1996. These are the four major occupational safety health laws in India. Lot of other laws are there regarding the working hours, condition of services, empowerment of children, women's security, labor welfare. Lot of laws are there. I'm not going to discuss on these. Now, as far as Factory Act is concerned, first day of the April 1949, Factory Act was came into the picture, and the basic objective of the Factory Act was protecting workmen employed in factories against industrial occupational hazard to maintain the health safety of the workers. Every occupier shall ensure the health, safety and welfare of all workers while they are at workplace. So main thing is, this is the duty of the occupier or the industry is there. So the owner of the industry, it's the duty of owner of the industry to make surety about health and safety of welfare of the workers. Lot of other provisions are there. You know that in Factory Act 1948, more than 100, around 112 sections are there. Complete document is available on the website. One can see that. So more than 250 pages are there. So that Factory Act, some special points I have taken. That is, after the Bhopal gas tragedy in December 1984, as we know that methyl isocyanide gas was leaked there, and due to that, lot of destruction was there in Bhopal. So that was the hazardous gas. So after that tragedy, Bhopal gas tragedy in 1984, the Factory Act 1948 was revised. Uh, One provision added in that regarding the hazardous processes in 1988, and some other sections in Factory Act are disposal of waste and effluent, ventilation and temperature, dust and fumes, overcrowding. There is one complete section discussed regarding the overcrowding, and which is nowadays during the COVID-19 now become important. That lot of people should not gather at one place. They have to follow the social distancing. So such sections are there in Factory Act regarding the safety officers under Section 40B, Factory Act 1948. There's provision of safety officers that there must be factory safety officers. They are put it in the factory who are looking after the safety of the industry. Specific responsibility of the occupier related to the hazardous process. Up-to-date health record must be maintained. If there is any uh, problem of hazardous substances, or hazardous substances are manufactured or transported in the industry. Safety officers, as per the 1,000 or more workers if there are in any company or organization. So for the guidelines, at least one safety officer must be there, or state government can give the separate guidelines for that. The specific responsibility to the hazardous, as I told you, that should be there. Hazardous material, first aid applications must be there. There must be first aid box. There must be first aid room also, which must be known to all the workers employed in the factory. Certificate of fitness should be there. When is asked by the inspector, company has to provide the certificates of the fitness of his worker. There is a right of the inspector. Power to acquire medical examination, inspector may serve a notice for examination of the workers. Even after submitting certificate of the fitness, if inspector feels that he can again serve the notice to the company to do the examination, medical examination. Notice of the certain diseases, if certain diseases are there, notice may be given to the industry to follow the guidelines. As we know that during this COVID-19, a lot of industries are given the guidelines by the central government and state government to follow the COVID-19 guidelines. Safety and occupational health survey, chief inspector may ask to do the survey of occupational health in the factory or in organization, and that cost of that surveys and facilities of that survey should be provided by the industry itself. Penalty of using false certificate, that provision is there. If anyone is not following the guidelines, then provision of that is there. Right of workers. The last thing is every worker shall have the right to obtain from occupier information related to the worker's health and safety, like right to information. This right of worker is that they can ask from the company that what step you have taken for safety and health of the workers. Second law is Mines Act 1952. So Mines Act is basically for the mines, their extraction of the minerals is being done. So here also safety committees are required for every mines where more than 100 persons are employed, and there is Director General of Mines Safety called as DGMS. So they are looking after the controlling of the mines, all the mines present in India. So the guidelines and acts under the mines are written here. I think no need to go through all these acts. A lot of acts are there, but one thing I want to mention, that after Conservation and Development Act of 1974 of the mines, in 1975 there was explosion in the mines of Dhanbad, Chaslana mining disaster, in which after explosion, the flooding in the mine was there, and around 372 miners were killed. So on this disaster itself, one film was at that time uh, made, that is Kala Patthar. Most of you with the of the age of 40, 50, and 50 might have seen that uh, film Kala Patthar, in which Amitabh Bachchan and then Bihari Babu, Shatrughan Sinha was there. So that film was on the based on this disaster took place in 1975 in mines. Then after a lot of changes were incorporated in the act in 83, rescue rules came in the picture. There are some other provisions related to the medical and health aspect of Mines Act. I will not go through all these things. Now, Building and Other Construction Worker Regulation and Employment Conditions Act 1986, called as BOCW Act, and under this act, health aspects is taken into the consideration in section 38, and section 40 deals with the rules and safety of health, building and construction workers for scaffolding. Whenever building is to be demolished, in that case, what are the guidelines? That is also discussed in section 40 of BOCW Act. Then handling of explosives, erection, installation of hoisting equipment, application of the lifting instrument. These all things, guidelines are also there in BOCW Act. Safeguarding of the machinery equipment, and precautions to be taken in case of fire. Whenever there is fire, then what type of precautions is to be taken, that is also mentioned in BOCW Act. What if such disaster like that 9/11 disaster in WTO, America, USA, we know that complete WTO building was collapsed because of the fire took place due to the plane crashed through the building. So such incident could not be prevented. One cannot prepare for such incident, cannot even imagine such incident. And in WTO building, we know that the columns were of steel, and once fire is there, steel melt, and the collapse of it caused the collapse of complete WTO center. Now, precautions regarding the pile driving, concreting work, safety policies for the as per the BIS guidelines, provision, maintenance of medical facilities, all things are discussed in BOCW Act 1996. Other related legislators are also there. Long list is there. I will not go for explaining these. Now, authority or the body responsible for occupational safety and health, as I told you, Ministry of Labor and Employment, and is the main body. Website is there. A lot of things are given on that website. Director General Factory Advice Service and Labor Institute, called as DGFASLI, is another body. Director General of Mine Safety, DGMS, is the controlling authority in case of the mines, and National Institute of Occupational Health, NIOH, that is also there. Basically, NIOH looking after the research work related to the OSH. National Council, Safety Council, NSH, which is non-government organization, that is also taking care of safety, health and safety, and other departments like other agriculture, rural, urban development, environmental ministry, and all these things are there. National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, is there. We know that apex body. This is NDMS body is the apex body whose chairman or the chairman is the Prime Minister of India, under whom this NDMA is working. We know that that is on the basis of the Disaster Management Act 2005. Even at present, we see that the guidelines issued by the Home Ministry, Central Home Ministry, in that you can see that COVID-19 guidelines is there, lockdown guidelines is there. In that you can see that they are mentioning for reference as per the Disaster Management Act 2005. That is mentioned there. So the steps taken during COVID-19 also as per the Disaster Management Act 2005. So in that, central government has wide power to take the control regarding the pandemic or epidemics or other health issues arise in big area, big societies or big part of the country. In that case, they can implement the Disaster Act, Management Act. So that is being implemented by the government for COVID-19. NIOH conducts a research on occupational environmental health to provide safe, healthy, comfortable work environment. So NIOH, which is situated in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, they have carried out a lot of research related to this. Silicosis studies in mines, ceramics, pottery, foundation that is being done by the NIOH. And you might be aware that NIOH has done very extreme work, excellent work related to the silicosis. They have made one uh, bar, what we can say that bar biomarker. They have prepared one biomarker which is used to test the silicosis disease in the workers. So this is biomarker is basically based on the CC16 protein. So after the long research, they found that CC16 protein is found in the body if there is effect of the silica particles in the lungs. So as per that, they have prepared that kit, biomarker kit, through which one can easily test that is suffering from the silicosis or not. Early stage silicosis can be prevented, otherwise the silicosis treatment is still not there. Now we go for the risk assessment. So the steps of the risk assessment are identify hazards. So basic steps are first to identify the hazard, anything that may cause harm. So you have to identify that. That is first step of risk assessment based on the health. Decide who may be harmed and how. So after identifying the hazard, second step is who are being affected by that and how they are affected. Third one will be assess the risk and take action. So after that, who are sufferer of that, assess the risk and then take the proper action, make record of all the findings, and then review the risk assessment. So these five steps are there on the basis of which the risk assessment in any company, industry, or organization is being done. These are the different factors in which we have already discussed. I will not go further. Major pollutant in categories of gaseous and particulate matter. We know that major categories is for the risk assessment from health point of view is gaseous emissions and particulate emission. Gaseous emissions, there may be SO2, NO2, particulate matter, and causing from the different activity in the cement industries or any construction industry that may be considered. As per the ambient air quality in industrial area, some limits are there. For SO2, suppose concentration is 50 and 80 micrograms per meter cube, annual and 24 hours. This is the time average. Annual average is much less, but as far as 24-hour average is concerned, the value is high because exposure time is less. So SO2, NO2, PM10, particulate material, which is causing the respiratory diseases mostly, that is PM10, 60 micrograms per meter cube, 100 micrograms per meter cube. That is concentration in industrial area as per the CBC report, CPCB report. And respirable particulate matter, particularly the particulate matter which are going into the lungs, whose size is less than 2.5 micron. So PM 2.5, you know that. So those limit is still less than the PM10, and that is 40 and 60 micrograms per meter cube for annual and 24 hours. Carbon monoxide is one of the factor, CO, which is very dangerous as far as pollutant gas is concerned, and its concentration is quite less, 2 and 4 micrograms per meter cube. We know that carbon monoxide is not only reducing the oxygen, but it has very much high affinity with the oxygen. So whenever you are inhaling the oxygen, and along with this, if carbon monoxide is there, so basically the oxygen is converted into the energy from our hemoglobin. So whenever we inhale the oxygen, hemoglobin oxygen is taken by the hemoglobin particle. So, but carbon monoxide has very much high affinity with hemoglobin particles, and due to that, oxygen will not join with the hemoglobin. Carbon monoxide will join with the hemoglobin, and that's why you will feel a severe scarcity of oxygen inside the body. Lungs will not work, and fatality may be there. So carbon monoxide is so dangerous that person can even die after if it is exposed for CO for a long time. Evaluation of the risk is likelihood into consequences. So risk can be calculated by likelihood multiplied by consequence. Likelihood means how much likely is that health issue is. There are some numbers may be given for the assessment, like 1, very unlikely, it's not going to affect much for your health, then it is 1. Somewhat unlikely, fairly then likely, and then very likely. Very likely is very much affecting the health issue of the public. In that case, we may give the number 5 for likelihood. And consequences means what is the effect of that particular parameter of the health. For example, CO I have just taken. So consequences may be, if high concentration is there, more time exposure is there, so consequence may be up to 5. Catastrophic means it may cause death also. So on the basis of this scale, means likelihood is what, consequences is what, risk is being assessed at the factory or company. So such type of the data must be prepared, and they should be analyzed to assess the risk assessment of any industry or factory regarding some health issues, and maybe some for safety purpose also. Now last thing which I want to share with you is related to health impact assessment. We all know that EIA is there. EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment. What nowadays, this is new technology, health impact assessment. So similar to the EIA, HIA is there. HIA means a practical approach used to judge the potential health effects of a policy, program, or project on population, particularly on vulnerable or disadvantaged groups. So HIA is the study, practical approach study, in which we are seeing the effect of any project or policy given by the government even, or given by some organization. What is its effect on the normal public or the area in which it is to be implemented? So it is to be particularly the public which is vulnerable, means all over effect is likely to be more. For example, suppose Narmada Dam was constructed there in Kevadia colony, Gujarat, Gujarat. So there, lot of area is to be submerged. People are to be rehabilitated from there. So population which is going to be affected, vulnerable, are those people who are going to suffer due to that project. So the health aspects of that project must be studied properly, and that is what is called as HIA. Decision makers and stakeholders need to maximize the proposal's positive health effects. So in HIA, both things are discussed. There may be positive health effects, there may be negative health effects. So in HIA, basic principle is to minimize the negative health effects and to maximize the positive health effects. So policies are to be created for that. HIA was initially developed by WHO, World Health Organization, in 1980s, way back, but for the long time nothing has been done. And first conference on HIA was held in UK in 98, then in US also, Watson. Second conference was in 2002, and still in India, we are not doing anything related to the HIA, but we just discussed before that OSH committee under the Secretary of MO, Ministry of Health, Education and Labor Welfare, they have also suggested to implement the HIA for the government. Now still no policy is made, but it is to be implemented. It is suggested by the committee that should be implemented. So let's see how much time took place. As HIA some basic requirement for the agriculture, transport, and housing sector. A lot of health effect is there. The projects coming related to all these things. As far as pesticides, fertilizer used by the farmers, we know that, and I think 2 years back in Maharashtra as well as in Karnataka, there was a lot of occurrence of events in which number of farmers died because of the pesticides effect, and the reason was found that they were sprinkling pesticides by their own in their own farms, but they were not following the norms. So highly concentrated pesticides by sprinkled by those farmers in their farms by themselves without keeping any protection. So whenever they are sprinkling those pesticides, what happens? Those pesticides volatile droplets goes inside the body, and the concentration becomes so high that those farmers even die after that. So in HIA, such conditions need to be taken into the consideration, that what should be the concentration of the pesticides and whom should be used. There should be proper guidelines for that. The study in transport sector may also be there, as we know that rapid urbanization in the country with lot of construction projects, concept of the smart cities, need of HIA is there. Health issues that may influence the overall existing objectives and direct and indirect effect. In HIA, the health issues of direct as well as indirect effects may be considered. So still the draft is not finalized in India, so document is not there, guidelines are not there, but it is expected that very soon or in the coming days, government will definitely come out with some policies on HIA, and it will be implemented like that EIA. So the basic principle of HIA is it is democracy empathizing, means it should be to all. Equity must be maintained in that. Gender-based, age-based, sex-based, socio-economic status must be there, and sustainable development must be the key point in principle of HIA. And assessment empathizing the rigorous use of quantitative and qualitative evidence-based tools, because a lot of data must be collected in HIA. So those data should be collected and should be qualitatively assessed and quantitatively assessed by different softwares or tools. So that is the basic principle of HIA. In India, as I told you, though study has been done under HIA, but HIA-like study has been carried out in vector-borne diseases in Sardar Sarovar Water Resource Development Project, Konkan Railway Project, Vargi Dam project also. Such type of the health effect study is been done in past in India, and that is towards the HIA concept. So once the document will be framed in India, well, that will be fruitful for the proper sustainable type of the project. In USA 2007, they have done 27 HIAs studies, and which increased to 119 HIA studied by 2010. And the government of India is still required to make it mandatory like EIA. As we know that EIA is mandatory now. Each and every factory or industry should have EIA, environmental impact assessment. Similar to that, HIA will come in the future, we hope so. Thank you to all. Now, hello, Parikh sir.
Hello.
So, to all participants, now I should say
Thank you
that
very much
as
for your nice lecture and guidance has been given to us, sir. So I kindly request to the participant, please share your questions or doubts regarding this session. And if you have any questions, query, please raise over here.
The session is not completed for the knowledge of all the participants. As you might have attended the inaugural function, our Director of Technical Education, uh, Sri G.T. Pandya sir, said that you should have some brief session over the SSIP, Students Startup Innovation Project. So in that, our principal of GEC Dahod, Dr. P.K. Brahmbhatt sir, and SSIP coordinator of GEC Dahod will join soon, and they will share some information related to the SSIP, the work done related to SSIP at GEC Dahod, and that's why I completed in the last slide in fast way. So all the participants are requested to remain connected, and by the short while, principal sir will be connected.
Sir, I am interrupting you, Khare sir.
Yeah.
I am interrupting you. One question is there, sir. What is vertigo that you mentioned?
Yeah, basically, vertigo is a disease that is coming out due to the effect in the ear. There is infection in the ear, or there may be infection due to the high height, working at very high height. There is ringing sound in the ear, and public is feeling not able to hear properly, and due to that there is dump, dump type of effect is there. So may feel that everything is moving around him. Ringing sound is there in the ear, but worker may feel that either he is moving or the object which he is seeing in front of him, that is moving. So such type of the syndromes are there in vertigo. So I had given that time one example also, that whenever we are traveling in the plane, sometimes slight effect of vertigo is felt by someone. Somebody is complaining that they have pain in the ear, and they have some fatigue in tension type of effect is there. So that is very small effect, but in construction industry, the effect of vertigo is basically whenever the person is working at high height, particularly in hoisting or working in over the ESR, elevated service reservoir, which is 30-40 meter high, or in bridge construction. Very that at that time we may feel that whenever seeing towards bottom side, that everything is moving. So that effect is called as the vertigo effect.
Sir, another question is there any hazardous due to plasticizers used in concrete?
Definitely, plasticizer is not directly giving any hazard as they are inside the concrete. What plastics, whenever used in construction industry, particularly in cement, as a secondary fuel, at that time they are hazardous. Whenever they are embedded in the concrete, at that time, still no such studies are there that they are very hazardous, because they are inside that concrete, not exposed directly to the concrete.
Thank you very much, sir, for the enlightenments with this topic. Now, as the Director of Technical Education has informed us to share the views of the Gujarat government regarding the student startup and innovation policy, I kindly request Dr. P.K. Brahmbhatt, sir, the Principal of Government Engineering College, Dahod, to share the views of SSIP, the innovative policies which has been going on right now. So kindly join respected Brahmbhatt sir, please. Sir, you may join, sir, Brahmbhatt sir.
Hello. Now I'm audible. Hello.
You are perfectly audible. You may continue.
I'm audible.
હા સર અવાજ આવે છે. Sir, you are perfectly audible. You may continue. But sir, your PPT has not shown over here. PPT sir તમે જે બનાવી છે દેખાતી નથી sir.
No problem. Before dealing with this presentation, let me give you some brief idea. Now, see, when we think about the student startup and innovation policy, welcome all delegates from all over India, and I appreciate your patience, and you have attended this program, and you have shared your inputs, and various problems have been discussed. New research work, novel research work in your area of research, that is in concrete technology and sustainable construction practices have been discussed. My humble advice to all of you that you should do practice of this particular work. So one more thing, so when we think about any research study, so we'll have to start up any things. So student startup and innovation policy, that is SSIP. So now, first of all, faculty has to start initiatives. So now we should have the thorough knowledge of carrying out any project work. Now project, as we know that project is nothing but detailed study of any topic. That is nothing but problem and its solution. Problem and its solution. Now solution, that is it may be theoretical solution or it may be experimental solution, or both way also we can solve the problem, either theoretically or experimentally, and both way. Now problem identification, that is very important task. So that is identified through critical literature survey. That is literature survey that will give you technical gap, research gap, or literature gap existing in the literature. That is our objective. So that is our problem statement. That is nothing but definition of our problem. And next target, that is we have to select the research methodology, research tool to solve that particular problem. So first of all, we are clear. We must be clear in our fundamentals. If we strong in our fundamentals, we can generate number of problems. And it is in SSIP, it is better practice. We should take the interdisciplinary problem. You can combine the problem, civil mechanical, and mechanical branch, mechanical electronics. So like this way, interdisciplinary problem is also we can solve. Then the problems from the rural area, which are the issues and problems rural people are facing, that also we can solve using these techniques. The problems of other than technical, non-technical problems also you can incorporate in this particular study. Ultimately, grant is given by the government, so ultimately we have to utilize this grant in an optimum way. So now problem and its solution. So ultimately, delta X contribution in your area of research, that is nothing but the solution of the problem. So now your research work itself is your survey of literature, and if you organize this literature survey in a proper way, okay, so organization of your literature survey is, hello, so you have to organize your literature survey in a proper way. Report you have to make properly, and whatever the experimentation work, whether theoretical approach is there, so you can use the software. You can solve the mathematical model using finite difference method, finite element method. So mathematical modeling and computer programming. So this all, that is theoretical approach that is detail study. Now in experimental approach, so you can manufacture this particular structure. You can make that particular structure. You can test it, and after testing, you can come to the conclusion. So now, without doing experimental work, one cannot come to concrete conclusion. So experimentation is very important, and during experimentation also we can get some, we can resolve, we can rectify our theoretical investigation also. So theoretical we have proved this, but during experimentation, your our that theoretical investigation, okay, so somewhat change is observed, so we can validate our theoretical investigation also. Now research, investigation and innovation, so these are the three words. So we should as a technical teacher, we must know the meaning of this all three words. Research work is the work which we carry out to solve any problem, and we can get the solution. So research, so that literature collection from the high impact journals, reputed journals, then textbooks, reference books, okay, some theses, some dissertation report. So that way we can carry out the literature survey. Okay. Now after that problem solution, that is the research selection of research tool. That is very essential, very critical task. Okay, so every time you have to arrange some meetings with your students. Okay, you should make WhatsApp group. You can through WhatsApp also you can give pressure. You can give tension to your students, because without pressurizing your students, they cannot give better output. Now output and outcome both are different. So see, outcome, that is nothing but when you prepare your report, the results you derive from your work, that results and discussion, that is your output. And based on your results and discussion, you will write your concluding remarks, conclusion, closure of your work. So that is investigation 1, investigation 2, investigation 3. This is your investigation. And every research work is ended with comma only. There is no full stop in research work. Okay, so you should write, you should tell the students that what is the scope for future work. So the scope for future work, so next group में आप share. So that way you can extend your research. And innovation means, suppose if you go for patent registration, so that you should not publish your research paper. So in that case, your patent registration, so that is nothing but innovation practices you have carried out in your area also. So now my humble advice, that humble suggestion to all of you, that see, from this whole STDP, see how you have are you able to define various projects? Are you able to define any various thesis titles? Because see, in BE Tech, that the project, it is called project. That is problem and its solution. In MEM Tech, it is called dissertation. That is also problem and its solution. And in PhD, it is called thesis. That is also problem and its solution. So you have to organize everything during your research study. Now, so this is the webinar on student startup and innovation policy. So see what I have done. See, as a principal of this institute, I have put up full faith, okay, full confidence on my team. Okay, first I have formulated one committee. So nodal officer, coordinators, co-coordinators, and members of each and every department. So that committee formation, that is the first task. Then see, in that we have also included students, also students committee, so faculty committee and students committee for SSI. Then we have formed WhatsApp group. Then we have made some idea competition. Then we have organized various awareness program. See, not only from this college also, हमने पूरा cluster cover किया. So central गुजरात, उसकी सब colleges, even BSc college, BCom college. So every college में, even school में भी जाके we have conducted awareness programs. Okay. So from that we have we were able to get some ideas, problems. See, awareness program we will give the presentation, how you can carry out this particular task. Then we provide guide each and every group. And the duty of guide is to boost up, to encourage, and to pressurize the students. Okay, so that is the main task of this. Okay, we are providing facilities 25 4 by 7 to all the students of our college. So we have also one incubation center. Then tinkering lab, that is the area where students can perform their physical projects. And in the incubation center, so in we have provided some literatures, journals, then some round tables are there, meeting area is there, so they can internet facility, everything we provide to the students, so that the students can work in their area of research, in their problems. So we have government has given the fund, and I am happy to share that 45% fund we have utilized in our student startup and innovation policy. Okay, so now ultimately I share one thing: wherever you are, so your environment is your ideal teacher. So you create innovative environment, research oriented environment, so that students and as a faculty members also, आपको भी problem में involve. See, unless you involve yourself into the problem, you students won't get the optimum solution. And during solution also we can learn. So as a teacher also, when we give some idea problem to the students, so we also come to the new novel approaches, novel methodology. Okay, so novel research activities. So that way we can extend our study, and that way we can do something good for the society. And giving something is nobler than taking. So give something best to the society. Ultimately, how we can serve the nation, that is the main task. So India may feel number of problems are there, rural problems are there, urban area problems are there, and smart city problems are there, environmental problems are there, construction problems are there, every mechanical problems are there. Very everywhere problem is there. Ultimately, as an engineer, we'll have to define the problem properly, and how we can solve that problem in an optimum way. See, parametric optimization also we can carry out. Whatever the change in your input, so you will get the change in your output. So you vary the parameters, input parameters. You can vary the ingredients in the concrete. So propagation, you can change the moisture, you can observe the soil strength. So number of areas are there. You can carry out the research study. Now failure of structure. Which are the reasons behind it? How can make the sustainable structure? So in our mechanical engineering also, sustainable manufacturing that is very important. Ultimately, your product, when you launch any product in the market, it should be sustainable. It should be acceptable by the consumer. So that is the main thing. So when you come to the product, so that is your innovation, and that is also see in SSIP, these all origins are there. Ultimately, government has expanded origins. So up to product also you can produce the product. So now our Dr. M.K. Chudasama is with us. He is our coordinator of this SSIP cell. So ultimately, see, detailed study of any topic. So किसी ने 6 एंगल से सॉल्व किया, तो you should see observe that particular problem through 8 angles. So you will get some novelty. So ultimately, we will have to give novelty in our work. So product is there, so you can make some new product. Okay. So now in concrete structure, in construction practices, we have seen very novelty. Suppose if you take the example of Mumbai city, Metro City, Bombay, Bangalore, okay, in Bangalore also, in Calcutta, everywhere you can see the diversified construction practices. So you should visit some IITs also. In IITs also, how they can handle the situation, how can they solve the various problems, and same also environment also you can here also. So ultimately, you will have to upgrade and update your knowledge, because knowledge is a big C. So every research work may ultimately will have to expand our origin. So let us expand our technical vision. So now this is not end of our study. We'll have to expand this particular work. We'll have to share this knowledge with our students. So students would be benefited through this particular faculty development program. So thank you very much. Now I am I hand over this session to Dr. M.K. Churasma. So which practices we are using here so that हमारा जो SSIP का work है, and government of Gujarat also appreciate our efforts because credit goes to my team. My team is strong. So as a principal head of the institute, I uh, I have full faith, full confidence on my team and see what work they are doing. So let me uh, give platform to Dr. M.K. Churasma. Please, Professor M.K. Churasma, Dr. M.K. Churasma, please come on line. Now this is your turn. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir. Uh, Really very good speech and encouraging speech that has been given by you, sir, to encourage to carry out the innovation and how the government of Gujarat has been implemented his innovation policy. Now, I warmly welcome Dr. Mahesh K. Chudasama, sir, Assistant Professor, Mechanical Engineering Department. He is a very enthusiastic personality, and our college has achieved a very good name on the SSIP policy because of the contribution which has been given by Dr. M.K. Chudasama sir. I warmly welcome. Nirav sir, તમારું microphone open છે please. So I warmly welcome Dr. M.K. Nirav sir, your microphone is open. So I warmly welcome Dr. Chudasama sir on this platform. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, respected Principal Dr. P.K. Brambhat sir, for giving me this opportunity of presenting the activities of Student Startup and Innovation Policy. And I also thank Dr. K.B. Parikh sir for these appreciating words. Because of such appreciations and the inspiration, we are working together to make this policy a success in the state of Gujarat. Let us start with the presentation on Student Startup and Innovation Policy. This policy has been formed by Government of Gujarat to cater the need of the students. So you can see here, first word student is there. So student-centric policy is there. Now, these things we already, you might have already emphasized upon that why startups are required. So in current scenario, if we see why startups, I just say one word, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat. So this startup is very much essential part of making our Bharat Atmanirbhar. So we are not going into that much details of startup. And what is startup ecosystem? So there is a business idea and journey of a business idea to making a successful business. This is what the journey is, and the support system is the ecosystem. So you can see business idea, validation, creation, product validation, and business validation. So an idea becomes a business passing through all these stages. And here important thing, you can see it is starting from minus 0, 1, 2, 3. So these stages, idea, validation, team formation, these are basically sowing of the seeds. So you cannot see the results until and unless you reach this stage. After this stage only you will see that some seed is sprouting from the surface. So these stages are given -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So, and if we see this ecosystem where we are, the higher education lies at this stage, that is sowing the seed and nurturing the seed. So -2 to -1, and up to some extent can reach up to 0, and if is possible we can reach at least up to 1 for some of the cases, not all the cases. So the role of higher education lies in this field, where the ideas are basically getting nurtured and teams are getting built. So talent is identified and teams are getting built. Now, further journey they are doing on their own or on the support by the support of funding or financial organizations or government. And after a certain period of time, when the business is started, it will be taken care of by the big companies. So, our role of higher education, as far as startup ecosystem is concerned, is at the very root of the system. So, identifying this need, the student startup and innovation policy has been formed in 2017, and 5-year plans 2017 to 2021 a plan has been made laid out, and phase wise the institution as well as universities are being given grant to be utilized. So this document basically consists of how to utilize the grant, what are the activities that can be carried out, and utilization, how the grant can be utilized. All the guidelines are given in this document, which was published in 2017 itself. So basically why this policy is there, in higher education it doesn't get much patronage to develop their innovation or startup ecosystem compared to elite institutes or universities in India. Elite institutes in the sense IIMs or IITs or such institutions or universities where the ecosystem is developed locally. uh, they are getting funded and they are getting mentoring and all the assistance at their place only, while the other institutions they are not getting that much nurturing. So it has been identified that nearly 80% of innovations die at early stage across universities in India. Almost 80% innovations. The student thinks something, make a project, and then it is just getting dumped, or it is given to the other groups for either delta X innovation or something like that. So it is just dying down at the early stages. Almost 80% of universities in India. So, out of 1,000 student projects, not even a few become startup. So we can see that whatever universities or institutions are there, they are not that much capable of nurturing these students, because ideas are there, but they are not converted into business or startups. So to inculcate culture of innovation amongst the students and to provide conducive environment for optimum harnessing, the education department government of Gujarat has devised a policy that is called student startup and innovation policy. So what are the key goals? Developing student centric innovations and pre incubation systems, support to flourish creativity and innovation, creating and facilitating sectoral and regional inclusive innovation efforts. So let me just excuse me. So, student-centric innovations, that means students are having the idea, but they are not having such incubation system where they get mentoring as well as financial support. The main major boost to these student-centric innovations is by the financial interventions. How that will see. Then support to flourish creativity and innovation, creating and facilitating sectoral and regional inclusive innovation efforts. So initially, seed funding or grants have been given to the universities and institutions. Now, what is the path, mind to market strategy? So, what are the stages where a student startup is getting built? So, it is starting from the mind where the student would have certain knowledge, and from the knowledge, he or she may get certain idea, and these ideas will be converted into innovation. So, the process basically happens in the mind of the student, and the SSIP policy is designed such that it should be converted to the market. So idea or innovations are to be converted to a solution which can be marketed. So the second stage would be provide support. So which type of supports are an idea or innovation required? It will require financial support, it will require technical support, it will require strategic support, it will require managerial, moral, and other. Now, this moral and other support is very much essential as far as the university or college students are concerned, because they are having certain obligations towards their family and other society. So once they complete their graduation, usually they seek job within 1 or 2 years. It is supposed that they should get some job and they should start earning. And for that, and because of these, many of the students are just dropping their innovative ideas and they go for jobs. They do not want to convert their ideas
रजित
or
ये लो
innovations
सर,
into a
इनका खत्म
feasible
होना उसके बाद अपना ब्रेक,
marketable
ठीक है?
product.
1 बजे अपने चालू कर
Then
देंगे इधर से, ठीक है? उससे
so
बाद
students
5 1 मिनट
require
पहले
such
हम स्टार्ट
support
कर
also,
देंगे,
along with
ठीक है?
financial
मतलब
and
ऐसा मान के
technical
चल
support.
कि 12:55
Then
को हम
once
लोग उसका
the support has
इंट्रोडक्शन
been
वैसे पढ़ा,
provided,
12:55 में
it
स्लाइड
requires
स्टार्ट
to
करूंगा,
protect their
ठीक
intellectual
है?
property
और
rights. It is
12
required to
मतलब
develop or
12
build
बज
a
के
prototype.
मतलब
From the
59 मिनट पे ना
prototypes,
तू चालू
by
कर
various
देना, ठीक है?
modifications, it will be converted into product, and the product marketing study will be done,
अरे
and
अभी अभी तेरे को
it
वापस
will
थैंक यू तो
convert
बोलना
into
पड़ेगा
a
ना एंड में
startup.
बेटा,
So this journey from
ठीक है ना?
mind to
दूसरी को कॉल
startup,
कर रहा हूँ,
it is there, and then the
दूसरी चीज
next
बात
stage
हुआ,
is of
विराट
growth.
वोरामन का जो
So
है ना,
growth
बराबर,
requires
उनका जैसे
various
सेशन अगर 2 बज के
stages
15
like
मिनट पे भी
brand building,
खत्म हो
success stories,
या 2
linkages,
बज के 20 मिनट
changes,
पर खत्म
benefits to
हो,
innovators,
उसके बाद सिर्फ 10
and
ही
that
मिनट का
it
ब्रेक
is
देना
getting
है, ओके?
converted into
वी आर
a
रिक्वेस्टेड टू ऑल
larger
द
business.
पार्टिसिपेंट गिव
So these are various
10
stages,
मिनट्स एंड वी विल
and
स्टार्टेड अबाउट द वैलिडिटी
SSIP
कॉन्सेप्ट,
policy
वो
basically,
आपको बोल देना है,
you
ठीक है
can
ना?
see
10 मिनट
here a
स्पेसिफिक,
word support. So
10
it is
मिनट
a
के बाद जो मैंने
student
सीक्वेंस भेजा
startup.
है ना, ठीक है?
Uh,
उस सीक्वेंस के हिसाब से
Support is given
तू
at these
इनवाइट
various
कर देना, ठीक है सबको?
stages.
ठीक है ना बेटा?
So usually whatever project are defined, we already
पार्टिसिपेट
identify the
पार्टिसिपेट क्या है ना,
knowledge,
मैंने लिखा है
ideas,
ना?
and innovations. But because
पार्टिसिपेट का
of
फीडबैक
this
उसी में दे देंगे,
linkage
ठीक है ना बेटा?
of support and development,
Very good.
they are not getting converted into promote, because there are various government policies which are there
तो
which
यार
will
जे पण હોય ને
promote the
બધું દે
business.
પતાઈ
Because once you
બધું દે રાખતા
start your
પછી
business, there are various agencies which will give the loans and other financial support, and other you can get certain agencies who can develop the linkages, and it can be developed. But the initial whatever seed is there, it is
બટાટી
getting
બોલતા
nurtured, and once it gets sprouted, then it will have these promotion. So at the seeding stage, uh, it requires financial as well as technical support, which is provided by this SSIP policy. So it is mandated 200 crore has been provided to for this policy, 100 crore by government of Gujarat and 100 crore from outside support. And SSIP iHub, already it is started in Ahmedabad. Then the major thing is up to 5 crore to universities and up to 1.2 crore to institutions. So government of engineering college Dahod has got 1.2 crores of grant, which is required to be utilized within 3 years. So under this policy, up to 2 lakh support can be given at idea or POC level
ये
for
वार
student
लागे
innovation.
जैसे
So this
पूरा
is
था એટલે
the
ત્યાંથી નીકળી
important
જતા હતા
intervention, because at this student
એટલે એક વાર
age,
ખેંચવાનું એટલે
getting the grant
એ
of
તકલીફ
rupees 2
પડે
lakh to develop their project and their ideas is a
તું ખાઈ લે
you
ને બેટા
can say a
ખવાઈ
huge
ગયું
booster to
આ
their
પેલા વેફર વાળા હશે
morale.
ને તેલ વાળું
Because
થોડું
once you
ભાઈ
get the
એના મને કોઈ
financial
પડે
support, they are having ideas, they want to work, but because of some financial conditions they may not get convert that innovations into the product or prototype. So this POC support of 2 lakh is very much a boosting uh, we can say factor to develop their projects.
હા લઈ
Then
પડે
once they have the idea or innovations, they can can say file a patent, or it can go for a design registration and all the things. So IPR
ખાસ કરીને
support
આપણે ચાંદી ઉકે
for
તો
a
માથામાં
one filing, at least
હે
25,000 rupees are given.
ઓગાડી ઓગાડીને
So
આપણે
it
છે ને
almost covers entire
ચાંદી સફેદ વાળા
filing
બધું
fees
સફેદ ડાઈ
for whatever type of IP is there, whether it is design registration, it is geographical indication, or any other thing. So these two things are major interventions which will boost the moral of the students as far as financial aspects are concerned. Then we or as grantee institution has to carry out various activities like conferences, symposiums,
ખરે સાહેબ
workshops, boot camps, etc. So these are activities which are
યંગ
called
મૂક્યો યંગ
awareness
મૂક્યો
activities,
યંગ મૂક્યો
and by this awareness is getting spread. Another boosting idea is mentoring support. Like some
આઈટી
one
બોલજો
some of the students are not having
એન્વાયરમેન્ટ
idea how to market their product or how to market survey. As far as technical institutions are concerned, we are not having such mentors. So if we want to get some professional help from these type of experts, it can be acquired, and maximum rupees 50,000 can be spent per project. So again, such mentoring support which is not available at the institution can be availed professionally, and that is also one of the major factor or major boosting factor to the student ideas. So what are the major interventions? First is ecosystem development. As I told you, at the root, the higher education is there. So it is very much essential to develop the ecosystem. Developing innovation and startup council or cells at university levels, as our principal sir has discussed, that a committee has been formed. Then various awards, recognitions, and exposure for the student innovators. Then virtual incubation or mentoring and allied support. As I told you, if some mentoring support or some facilities not available at the institute, some external experts can also be contacted, and it can be financially procured. The services can be procured financially. Then POC or prototyping development support up to 2 lakh rupees, it can be spent on developing the proper prototype or developing the proof of concept. Then patent filing support, as I told you, IPR support. Then tinkering lab, fab lab, basic prototyping facility. So as such, in the technical institutions, we are having various labs. So a project can be done, but a centralized facility is also required so that a student can get basic minimum requirements at one place only, and he or she has not to roam around the various labs. So that's why tinkering lab or fab lab or basic prototyping facilities are required to be uh, carried out. Then pedagogical intervention, that means in the syllabus or whatever the curriculum is there, some aspects of entrepreneurship as well as some aspects of startups are to be incorporated in the curriculum itself, so that the awareness and the business awareness can be created. So all these interventions are done through the SSIP policy in an institution or an university. So as I told you, to 20 lakh for university, 2 lakh for individual project, 25% for professional help, and for procurement and purchase, we have 75% grant. So 1.5 lakh can be supported for consumable purchase or procurement of raw material. And for mentoring support, the project can get maximum 50,000. So how this grant is to be utilized? For POC, it is mentioned, table is given. So again, it is the same 50,000 for professional support and 1.5 lakh for consumable and other materials. Then various awareness programs like seminars, workshops or conferences can be done. Annual limit it will be as per MOU. With university, it will be different amount. With institutions, it will be different amount. Then expenses of travel of external experts and contingency kits and all this can be done. Then common innovation center or tinkering lab or basic prototyping facility, annual limit. This is how a grant is to be utilized. These are the guidelines how the grant that is received at the institution can be utilized. So these are the guidelines by which we can purchase or we can create facilities by utilizing this grant. Then administrative expenses, we can get up to 20,000. So we can procure the services of SST work. Then documentation, dissemination, reprography charges up to 1 lakh for SSIP activities and others. Then for IPR support, we have average 25,000 per national IPR filing, as I discussed. Then virtual incubation, mentoring, allied support. Again, we can utilize this grant for the various activities. Mentoring support can be group mentoring or university level mentoring service to a class, or it can be individual mentoring. So for all these mentoring services, we can have the utilization of grant. And what is the process flow of financial support to institutions? We'll invite the proposals, we'll do the hand-holding session. Then it will be required to be screening. Whatever proposals are received, it will be handhold and then screening will be done. Then after selection, the grant will be dispersed, and annually grant utilization certificate has to be submitted to the SSIP centralized group. Then then this SSIP activities at institute level, state level activities are also carried out, like student open innovation challenge. It is open to all the students. And one more thing, which is there in SSIP, that alumni of the institution can also take part in this SSIP activities, alumni of 5 years. So last 5 year alumni can participate in these activities. So even at institution they can apply, or even they can apply at the centralized SSIP facility, that is at iHub. So this SOIC, Student Open Innovation Challenge, it has various stages. So idea or innovation has to be documented, and it has to be submitted. It will be evaluated. So it will be pitched, and it will be shortlisted, and selection will be done. And based on this selection, continuous mentoring and MVP will be designed. IP can be registered, and prototype and innovations can be demonstrated at the state level. There are various categories, and as the audience is from outside Gujarat, there is a major thing for them, that student innovators and startups from outside Gujarat can also apply for the Open Innovation Challenge. But in such scenarios, minimum 50% of team members should be from Gujarat. This is intended for promoting collaboration. So I just wanted to highlight that it is not a closed system, that it will be just for students from Gujarat. It is open for the students from outside Gujarat also, but there is only one condition, that at least 50% members should be from Gujarat. So and this is intended because as the fund is utilized from the government of Gujarat, it is required to have certain amount for the students of Gujarat. Otherwise, other students can also take part, but they will have to collaborate with the students from the Gujarat. So this is what the idea is, and the team can be formed such that at least 50% members should be from Gujarat, and this idea can be presented in Student Open Innovation Challenge, and it can be nurtured up to the stage. So each team may comprise of around 3 to 8 members. Team can also have a faculty mentor. So this is what the idea is, that
Third game of
team
first
is
na.
not just comprised of students, it should
I
also
and
have a
Patel.
faculty mentor, so that as and when required, technical help, professional support, all these can be handed over to such faculty mentors. uh, the other events or other informations we can get from this website, that is www.ssipgujarat.in. So for SSIC registration and all the processes are done online. Financial support, as I told you, up to 2 lakh seed grant, and additional SSIP grant up to 25,000 for IPR support. Non-financial support, structured mentoring to teams, potential technology transfer, pre-incubation, awards and appreciation. So iHub is getting developed. A centralized facility at Ahmedabad is getting developed. Almost more than 60 crores are to be spent. So, and a mentor pool is created, where various experts from the, not from the Gujarat only, various mentors from other states and
બાકી તો આપણું
various
જસ્ટ
other
પેલું હું
stakeholders
ઘણા
are
બધા હોય
getting
ને આપણે પાર્ટ
shortlisted,
ટાઈમ હોય તો
so
આપણી
that
આઈડિયા ન હોય.
proper mentoring can be done. The advisory for this iHub and SSIP activities is IIM Bangalore. So IIM Bangalore is having very robust structure of nurturing
હા
the
પ્રચિત
startups, and they are getting giving the mentoring
પ્રચિત તૈયાર
support
જ
to
છે.
these students. So it is one of the major benefit of getting selected in SOIC. This access to various boot camp and guidance, citations, awards and appreciation. So there are various interventions that are done at various stages of a startup journey. Then hackathon, as we know,
હા
it
રેડી
is
રહેજો પ્રચિત રેડી રહેજો
annually
હા બધા.
organized, and grand event is done. 2 3 days event as at institutions levels, at zonal levels and at central level. Then student innovation summer innovation challenge is there. Summer innovation challenge 17 18, so various themes are being given, and student has to propose the solutions or innovative ideas for such challenges. Now let us get back to our institution. That is SSIP activities that are carried out at GEC Dahod. The first grant we have received was in 2017-18, and the first installment was rupees 20 lakh. The second installment came in 18-19. It was 10 lakh 41,000. And these grant is being dispersed based on the utilization of the grant. So whatever we have utilized, the grant has been given. So first, as our respected principal sir has told, first task was to form a team. So a team was formed under the able guidance of our principal sir. It comprised of coordinator and faculty members, uh, departmental faculty members, departmental SSIP coordinators, then student members. So student coordinators and student group members have been formed. So various committees have been formed. The next stage was to create awareness. So awareness activities have been carried out in and around Dahod. So we have not concentrated ourselves in Dahod only. We reach far, as our principal sir has told, that almost all the central Gujarat technical institutions we have covered, as well as arts and commerce colleges around Dahod we have covered during these awareness activities. Then other intervention was technical workshops, like workshop on 3D printing and other activities. Then national conference we organized, first national conference on startup and innovation at our institute. So we were the first institution in Gujarat to organize such a conference at institute level. So in 2018, successfully the conference was organized, and the papers, selected papers, have been published in an international journal. Then non-technical seminars or activities like business model canvassing and all are being carried out. Then students are getting encouraged to participate at the national level, like in students summer innovation challenge. One of our student group was runner up. Then a best paper award at national conference was given in 2020. And for these awareness activities, grant utilization till date is 92,477. Then the major boost to the student is POC grant, that is proof of concept. So proposals are invited. We have created formats, various formats for student proposals and evaluation of the student proposals. These formats are prepared. The students will fill up these formats and submit it. We'll do the screening procedure. So for screening procedure, we have department wise screening, and we'll have academic as well as industry experts for this screening. So a date is declared, and on that day there will be a presentation, and the experts will evaluate these proposals based on their startup and innovation potentials, and then we finalize the POC grant. Once the projects are finalized, we'll issue the sanction order for these projects. So this is how POC proposals are being evaluated at institution level. Then the major task is to purchase and disbursements of items. So whatever requirements of grantee students are there, it is getting compiled. Department wise compilation is done, and that these compiled requirements are sent to the store. So institutional central store will purchase these items as per government norms. Right now, as per government norms, these items are to be procured through GEM portal. So once this procurement is done, whatever instruments or requirements are there, they are disbursed to the student groups. So till date, 9,64,088 has been utilized for this POC activity. Then IP, intellectual property rights. So initially IPR awareness workshops have been organized. Then patent drafting workshop has been organized, which is one of its kind at that time. It was nowhere it was conducted. So first patent drafting workshop, as far as Gujarat is concerned, we have organized here at our institute under SSIP activities. Then once this awareness is there, then we invite these IP proposals. We have prepared formats for
गुप्ता सर, हाँ
proposals
बोलिए.
as well as evaluation. So student group will prepare these
हमारी गाड़ी में काफी
proposals.
लोग हैं.
We got proposals from not only from GEC
जैसे
Dahod,
कि
we have
मैं
got
हूँ,
proposals from other institutions, and
चुड़ासमा सर
we
है,
have
दीक्षित
evaluated
सर
it,
है,
we scrutinized it,
कंडल
and
सर
then
है,
we ordered
प्रतीक
that
भाई का
these
पता नहीं.
IP proposals are selected, and then filing and
हाँ,
payment procedure has been done
4 लोग हैं, हाँ सर.
for these proposals. So till
हैं?
date we have already utilized
किसकी आपकी?
1,85,660, and overall whatever SSIP grant is received, more than 45% is already been
अरे
uh,
सर जी, सब गेट ही
utilized.
निकलने
So
वाले, टेंशन
uh,
मत लो सर जी.
as per the data which is discussed at the DT
किसकी
level,
गाड़ी निकलने
we
वाली,
are
किसकी
the
गाड़ी अभी
leading
निकलने वाली?
institution who is utilizing this
अरे
grant.
टेंशन मत लो,
So
अपनी यहाँ पे
45
जगह तो
is
आपके लिए रखेंगे. मैं
a
निकल
good
जाऊंगा,
number
टेंशन मत लो.
for
मैं
our
उतर जाऊंगा,
institution
मैं नहीं जाऊंगा,
as far
ठीक
as
है?
Gujarat is
आपको
concerned.
गाड़ी दे
So in
देंगे
that
सर,
sense, we are
ठीक है?
leading this activity at Dahod. Then we have a plan for
सर
our
आपका
next
आवाज थोड़ा
phase.
कट हो रहा है सर.
As principal sir has told, incubation center is there. So we are going to develop a well furnished
ये तो
incubation
ब्रह्मट
center.
सर से हम बैठा था
Space
आराम.
has been provided. Procurement of various furniture and other items are in process. Tinkering lab, as such, adult tinkering lab is for school students, but as we are in technical institutions also we require such a centralized facility. As such, we have facilities
मेथी
of
मारवाटा भूत
various
पड़ी हो तुमने लोगों ने दोस्त.
fabrication and other work at different labs, but we are
हैं?
going to develop a tinkering lab, a centralized facility, well, where at least basic minimum facilities for developing a prototype can be provided to the students at one space. Then awareness drive, as I told you,
मैं
the
सर एक
awareness
दिन में हम बोल
in
रहे
and
हैं.
around Dahod,
केवल
we
तो
are
पढ़े नहीं
going
अपने
again
से.
going to go for
थैंक
this
यू लेते
awareness
से भी मन
because
मजा नहीं आता.
every year new students are getting enrolled. So whenever a student is getting enrolled, he or she should get the idea what is the objective of the SSIP policy and what are the benefits they can derive from this. Also, we are going to go for the schools, various schools. Right now, as it COVID situation, we are planning to have webinars at various schools for the school students also, so that they can also present their ideas and they can also avail the grants if their idea is having the potential. So POC and IP proposal evaluation schedule, we already kept a schedule that a student or student group can uh, submit their
बाबू
ID
जी बहुत आई
proposal
है सर.
24/7 on our portal. So a student can submit a proposal for IP or POC, and we are planning to uh, do the screening every month. So already in the month of September, we have done the uh, screening. And the next phase is we have planned in the month of October. Then we have IP facilitation center. We are planning to build IP facilitation center and various workshops on technical innovations. And we are also planning the second national conference or an international conference under SSIP at our institution. So this is what about SSIP. Uh, if there is any question from the participants, they can ask about this policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the very such nice way of making an explanation about the policy which has been made by the government of Gujarat for the innovation and the startup. So, on the behalf of all the participants, as well as all the team of the particular this FDP organization, I thankful to you to show the innovation procedure which has been done by specifically at GEC Dahod. And it is also thankful to you on this platform. I can say that the GEC Dahod will come as the number one in the Gujarat because of the extensive effort by you and your team. I request to the participants to share your questions. If you have any kind of doubt, please share on this our Telegram group that we made it out. Also, the platform which is available over here for the chat box, as our respected sir is over here to answer your questions. So, if you have,
sir.
please ask. Feel free to ask the questions.
Sir, one questions in a Telegram groups. Hello.
Telegram.
Yes, sir.
Questions. Yes. Yes, definitely. I request to Chudasama sir, if possible, kindly share this PPT to my personal mails, because the respected faculties from the other states are interested to utilize this particular platform and use this the, what can I say, the procedure that you follow in that particular state. So I kindly request you to share
Sure,
your PPTs to me, sir.
sure. I will share. I will share it with Parik sir. Sure, I will share with you.
Okay, sir. Okay, fine. Thank you,
Sir,
sir. There
another
is no
question,
any
sir.
other questions from the
Sir,
participants. Once again, thank you, sir.
uh, okay, sir.
A question is there. Where
Huh.
it is there, dear? Because I don't have in the Telegram group here.
It is useful for our institute as a same participant, sir.
It is useful for our. Means they actually,
Ah,
sir, they wanted the PPTs for the
okay.
institute purpose only. So
Okay,
there
sure,
is
sure, sure.
it is
Okay,
not a question, sir. It is a
okay,
request, sir.
okay, 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 sir.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Okay, sir. So I think let us take a break for at least up to one. We will start a next session, as the FDP. At one of the mandatory requirement of the FDP is the stress management, or something which will be relax for this FDP. So that session has been over here right now. So that will be started at 1 o'clock. So we will meet at 1 o'clock sharp. Thank you very much.
Rajit, Rajit. Hello, Rajit. Rajit, please. Rajit. Hello.
Yes, sir. I'm audible.
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Yeah, I convey my thanks to Dr. Professor N.K. Chudasama and the Principal of Government Engineering College Dahod, Dr. P.K. Brahmbhatt, to enlighten us with the initiative, Government of Gujarat Initiative SSIP. We'll have a short break until 1, and then we all will meet again for the second session. I should say the penultimate session of FTP, that is human values, ethics, and stress management. So until then, we'll have a short break. Thank you.
Thank you to all. Thank you.